He inherited Australia's News Limited. He took over the news of the world. He bought the Times. He is the founder, chairman, and CEO of News Corporation. He is Keith Rupert Murdoch. Murdoch was born in Melbourne, the only son of Sir Keith Murdoch and Elizabeth Green. Keith Murdoch was a renowned war correspondent and later a regional newspaper magnate. Murdoch was groomed by his father from an early age to take over the family business. Following his father's death at 21, he turned its newspaper, Adelaide News, its main asset, into a major success and directed his attention to acquisition and expansion. Murdoch was then credited as inventing the modern tabloid. In 1964, Murdoch launched The Australian, Australia's first national daily newspaper, and later he acquired the Daily Telegraph. He entered the British newspaper market with his acquisition of the populist News of the World. Followed with the purchase of The Sun, Murdoch turned The Sun into a tabloid format and reduced costs by using the same printing press for both newspapers. In 1986, he introduced electronic production processes to his newspapers, resulting with the dismissal of 6,000 employees. When Murdoch's Sky Television incurred massive losses, he merged with British Satellite Broadcasting. By 1996, B-Sky B had more than 3.6 million subscribers. Murdoch entered the United States market when he purchased the San Antonio Express News. Soon afterwards, he founded Star and purchased the New York Post. He bought Mark Rich's interest in 20th Century Fox and later bought out Davis's remaining stake in Fox for $325 million. His Fox movie studio would go on to have global hits with Titanic and Avatar. Murdoch went on to buy John Klug's Metromedia television stations, which would form the nucleus of the Fox Broadcasting Company, which would go on to have great success with programs such as The Simpsons and The X-Files. In 1996, Murdoch decided to enter the cable news market with the Fox News Channel. In 1998, he made an attempt to buy the football club Manchester United FC with an offer of £625 million, but failed as it was blocked by the United Kingdom's Competition Commission. In 2005, News Corporation bought Intermix Media Incorporated, which held MySpace, Imagine Games Network, and other social networking-themed websites. In June 2011, it sold off MySpace for US $35 million. In 2007, Murdoch acquired Dow Jones, which gave him such publications as the Wall Street Journal, Barron's Magazine, etc. In 1993, Murdoch acquired Star TV and subsequently set up offices for it throughout Asia, becoming one of the biggest satellite TV networks in the East. Murdoch increasingly took controversial political roles. In Australia, Murdoch began taking McEwan's side in every issue. After McEwan retired, Murdoch threw his growing power behind the Australian Labor Party and duly saw it get elected. In Britain in the 1980s and early 1990s, publications were generally supportive of Britain's Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. At the end of the Thatcher Major era, Murdoch switched his support to the Labour Party and its leader, Tony Blair. His political role extended to the United States when in the 2012 US presidential election, Murdoch had been critical of the competence of Mitt Romney's team. Murdoch's darkest hour was the News International phone hacking scandal. Murdoch and his son James were served a summons to testify before a committee on 19th July. The day before the committee was held, the websites of The Sun was hacked. and a false story was posted claiming that Murdoch had died. He argued that since he ran a global business of 53,000 employees, he was not ultimately responsible for what went on at the tabloid. He added that he and the other top executives had been completely unaware of the hacking. On 16th and 17th July, News International published 2 full-page apologies in many of Britain's national newspapers. Murdoch always had a colorful personal life to go with his professional exploits. In 1956, Murdoch married Patricia Booker, a former flight attendant from Melbourne, and they had their only child Prudence in 1958. Rupert and Patricia Murdoch divorced in 1967. In 1967, Murdoch married Anna Maria Torv, a Scottish-born cadet journalist working for the Daily Telegraph. Torv and Murdoch had 3 children, Elizabeth, Lachlan, and James. They divorced in June 1999. 17 days after divorcing his second wife, Murdoch, then aged 68, married Chinese-born Deng Wendy, who at 30 was a newly appointed vice president of Star TV. Murdoch has 2 daughters with her, Grace and Chloe. In June 2013, a News Corporation spokesperson confirmed that Rupert Murdoch filed for divorce from Deng. Murdoch's eldest son Lachlan was Murdoch's heir apparent before resigning from his executive post. There is reported to be tension between Murdoch and his oldest children over the terms of a trust under which his children by Wendy Deng share the proceeds of the stock. According to the 2011 list of Forbes' richest Americans, Murdoch is the 38th richest person in the US and the 106th richest person in the world, with a net worth of $8.3 billion. Murdoch has been listed 3 times in the Time 100 as among the most influential people in the world.